Well, hello everybody. Welcome to another Boxwood Artist Huddle. I'm thrilled to have Geoff Jones with us this time around. Geoff is an amazing piper, now based in Tasmania. Geoff, how are you?
Oh, great, Chris. And yourself?
Good. Now you've moved from the Melbourne area down to Tasmania in the past year or two.
Yeah,
Tell
about
me,
a year
tell me
ago.
about that move and what's that meant for your music making.
Yeah, moved from the Geelong area about a year ago to just out of Launceston, the north part of Tasmania. Um, Music making, I guess, just coming out of COVID a year or so ago, or still a bit COVID cautious when I moved over here. The sessions had only just got started again. So there's regular sessions here in Launceston, about 10 minutes away. Used to be weekly on a Sunday afternoon, but are now fortnightly. They're good. And there's other sessions about half an hour away down in Deloraine once a month, and regular weekly sessions a couple of hours away down in Hobart. So yeah, get to do the rounds of all of those, and there's other sessions around the place as well, but I haven't got to some of the other ones further afield. So yeah, getting a bit of music here and there as well as the odd festival. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, of course, we're so sad not to be getting together this year, but we're just postponing. We'll be back at it in a year's time. So that's another reason why I thought it'd be great to touch base with you and a few of our regulars that attend each February. Geoff, how exactly did you get started with your piping?
Well, I'll give you the long story then. My grandparents on my mum's side, on the mum's father, so my grandpa, he had a Scottish background, so I'm sixth generation Australian on that side. But they went on a cruise, European river cruise in the 70s, late 70s. And one of the onboard activities there was Scottish country dancing, would you believe? So they had a go at it and enjoyed it. And when they got back to Australia, they took it up and dragged my family into it, and mum and dad and my brother and I. So we had a go of it, and we enjoyed it, and started going on to the classes, and ended up doing demonstrations at the local Berwick Highland Gathering. And then I saw the pipes there and wanted to play them ever since. However, my one of my passions at the time was scouts. So I was in Cubs and Scouts and Adventurers. But when we came home from Scouts on a Monday night, you could hear the local Berwick pipe band playing a couple of kilometres away over the other side of the valley. So yeah, that sort of, I guess, piqued my interest in pipes. But because it was on the same night, it was a couple of years before I ended up giving up one passion, scouting, to take up the other passion of piping. And that was back in September 1988. So
Wow. And then once you did start, who were some of your mentors and how did your development unfold? Because I know now you're playing small pipes quite a bit, but I would assume you were starting on the Great Highland Pipe.
yeah, I guess like most pipers, certainly around here anyway, most of the pipers, I guess, start learning Highland pipes and in pipe band. So I started with the Berwick pipe band on the Highland pipes, but was always interested in, I guess, yeah, other Scottish music, other Scottish instruments, other Scottish pipes, and everything bagpipe, whatever country they came from. So I always had sort of interest in other kinds of music. But it wasn't until, I guess, a few years down the track, a good few years down the track, that I ended up getting a set of mouth-blown small pipes to start with. It's my first entry into the small pipe and other pipe world, as in first instrument I had. And yeah, finding the mouth-blown pipes had the same issues as any mouth-blown instrument. I soon migrated onto the bellows pipe, and now have, yeah, several other pipes, the lowland border pipes, Northumbrian pipes. Do have a set of uilleann pipes there, but they're out on loan at the moment. Somebody else is learning them. Yeah.
That's a
But
whole
yeah,
other kettle of fish, isn't it?
exactly. Yeah. All pretty much all of my other pipes are mostly Scottish, or based on the Scottish fingering system anyway, apart from the Northumbrian pipes. But yeah, so it's fairly easy to switch between Highland or Lowland or small pipes. It's just a matter of
Yeah.
how they get inflated, I guess. Yeah.
Well, Geoff, what I hear in your playing is this wonderful mixture of beautiful technique, and also a keen sense of what makes the music work. You're also a very musical player, and You don't often find both of those things in the same player. And I've enjoyed your playing so much. Where do you think that comes from?
Thanks, Chris. Well, I always been interested in everything piping. I guess, and my other, I guess, interest is computers, particularly growing up in high school and as a teenager. So most of my school projects were either computer based or bagpipe based or both. um, and I studied bagpipes well, yeah, studied music, but bagpipes specifically in high school. Um, so I've got yeah, had a private tutor there, Eric Christie. He was my main solo tutor. He also makes Highland pipes, or used to make Highland pipes. I think he's still making them. Well retired now. I do have a set of his African Blackwood Highland pipes. Very nice. He was an engineer by trade, so they're very precisely made and sound very lovely. Other influences are a lot of the dance music, the Scottish country dancing, and just listening to any Scottish album, be it Andy Stewart or Jimmy Shand or anything like that. So a lot of that influence. But as for, I guess, specifically piping, Battlefield Band was one of my and still current early influences. Obviously, Hamish Moore, having Hamish Moore small pipes, and who else springs to mind? Angus MacDonald, Dr. Angus, and also Pipe Major Angus MacDonald on the World's Greatest Pipe Band CDs, albums, Volume 1. Yeah, just some of the few influences I've had for just Highland piping, or sort of the more that folky kind of playing as well. Yeah.
Have you had a chance to hang out in Scotland much?
I've been over a few times. When I got my first set of bellows pipes, they were Hamish Moore pipes, and I went and visited Hamish and Finn and picked those up in 1999 is when I got those,
Yeah,
and still the same set of reeds.
that's amazing. Yeah, that's also a testament to your wonderful maintenance there
And,
and
and a good instrument to
care
start with.
with those pipes. I
Indeed.
can't say the same thing. I'm probably on my third or fourth set of reeds. Well, let's get you to play if you would. Share
Sure.
a tune with us or two.
Thanks. Um, I was debating whether to start with one of mine or one of Terry Tully's, but I might start with one of Terry Tully's tunes, just so I can play the D drone of the baritone, and then play some of mine later. Just
Okay.
quickly tune the drones. They were tuned earlier, but we'll give them a quick.
Okay, fire away, man.
So this is Terry Tully's tune. Um, yeah, Tommy Tully's Air.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, that D drone was just on the edge, but just kept him.
Yeah, you think you can be in control of bagpipes, but
Yeah,
you're
that's
deluding yourself.
10:15 at night here, and it's 18 degrees.
Oh my gosh.
So they've kept really fairly steady today, but yeah, it's always the way. So once you start
Yeah.
recording, off they go.
Jeff, are you teaching much these days?
I am. Just arranged my schedule for this term. I head up to Burnie Pipe Band, about 2.5 hours away, once a month, and go and help out the pipers and the band up there. And then I have 3 or 4 private students. I just teach on a Tuesday evening, either via Zoom because they're interstate, or local. They pop around to my place here on this table, in fact, and
Yeah,
have a few tunes. So yeah.
good. Now, you've been a wonderful force there in Southern Australia, bringing pipers together. And a few years ago, you created the Celtic Piping Club. Tell us a little bit about that and what you guys are up to these days.
Well, I guess when I was over in the UK back in the late 90s, getting these set of pipes and going to the LBPS, Lowland Border Piper Society sessions and evenings, and yeah, just getting amongst all the and learning more about not just small pipes and other pipes, but getting into the Scottish folk scene, playing the folk scene music. Yeah, I was really enthused by the LBPS in particular, and was really keen to try and get something similar established back here in Australia when I came back. Um, as you know, the tyranny of distance around Australia is can be a barrier sometimes. So I knew of lots of players of small pipes and other pipes around the place, but yeah, it took a good few years and to get something together. But it wasn't really until I met Sarah Wade a good number of years ago, 15, 20 years ago, something like that, that she was another driving force. So together we finally got the Celtic Piping Club established, and it's our 10th anniversary year this year. So expect to see some more events, some more online and other events coming up hopefully soon. Um,
So
and
what kind of stuff have you organized? I know you've done some in-person events. Is there an annual meeting
yeah, so
that's now sort of codified in terms of a location and a time of year?
sure, yeah, we run workshops and put on concerts and do things like that at various festivals. But our own main event of the year is the Goldfields Piping Weekend, which is held in the central Victorian goldfields. The last number of years has been in Castlemaine, and it's basically a residential weekend for pipers. I guess a little bit like Boxwood, but more just confined for for pipers. And yeah, it's a great weekend. We have 20 or 30 musicians along, not just pipers, but always have a guest tutor or two. Could be a piper, could not be a piper. I think our first guest was a singer, so we had singing lessons for pipers. Yeah, so that weekend is yeah, full of workshops during the day and a few sessions at night, and we have a little soiree to enjoy playing in the public as well. So yeah, really great weekend. We have players come from all other states as well, travelling further afield. So yeah, it's getting a really popular event.
Yeah.
So that's in August.
And are you attracting some members from New Zealand and from farther afield as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So the Celtic Piping Club is, I guess, was established in Victoria just for ease of incorporation of the association. But we have members and indeed committee members from other states as well. And yeah, we have, I think, currently two or three international members of the Celtic Piping Club too. So yeah, just jump onto the Celtic Piping Club website and sign up. There's a free newsletter there to find out what's going on, and yeah, jump on the Facebook page as well.
Cool. That's great. Jeff, have you detected any kind of an Australian dialect in piping? You've been active in the area and of course now running the Celtic Piping Club, listening to a
Mm.
lot of piping, thinking about piping. Is there anything specific to Australia that you can identify?
I think
as a style or the way
I
that
haven't.
folks think about music?
Yeah, I guess a bit like a lot of our is bush music, which was amalgamation of all the Scots and Irish and English and other culture sort of immigrants, over the last couple of hundred years. That uh, influence or borrowing of tunes and sharing it around tunes, but then all sort of in the mix, but then being um, far away enough that those tunes and tune styles have sort of developed and in their own way. Um, yeah, I'm not sure I can pinpoint if they or describe an exact Australian style, but it's certainly yeah, an amalgam of many styles, but not one style in particular. That sort of makes sense.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Interesting. Now, when you say bush music, what exactly does that mean?
well,
Yeah, I've heard that term used before, but I'm never
I
quite
guess
clear on what if there's a specific locale or more of a style, or tell me a little bit about bush music.
yeah, the bush dance music. Guess it's Australian's version of a showdown, a hoedown kind of thing. Bit like a Scottish ceilidh, but Australian version. Sort of just fun social dance kind of thing. But a lot of that early music, and I'm talking 1800s kind of music, was well, a lot of it was the Scottish and Irish and English tunes, but then transferred and over here, and the style sort of I guess merged, and some of the nuances taken out, and different nuances put in to a bit more, I guess, maybe a laid back kind of style. So I guess the bush dance and bush music is probably the um, uh, yeah, maybe Australian equivalent of something like the Appalachian music, where
Yeah,
there's
kind of
that
like old time music.
old timey stuff. So yeah, borrowed from I guess the mother country, so to speak, and then adapted locally. Mm.
Yeah. So would you have heard pipers actually playing at dances in some bush music settings?
Oh, look, I can't recall off the top of my head of any um, stories about pipers playing for like the early kind of bush dances, but no doubt there would have been. Mm. I
Right.
guess, in the well, not really sure exactly because there would have been really the Highland pipes and the Uilleann pipes. So the Highland pipes wouldn't have been in a key that would have been friendly to play with the other instruments, being fiddles and banjos and things like that. Whereas the Uilleann pipes, if they were concert pitch, might have been potentially played, but I'm not sure they. Yeah, I'm not sure of any stories off the top of my head of Uilleann pipes in that setting. Yeah, way back 100 years ago. Certainly these days they are. All the different pipes, the Scottish and Irish pipes, and other pipes are played for bush dances and ceilidh dances and things like that too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this is a good reminder for me to actually finally join the Celtic Piping Club. I've known
What do you mean
about
you're
it,
not a
but
member yet?
so where do I go and what does it cost and what do I get?
So it's just celticpipingclub.com.
Yeah,
Membership for full membership is 50 Australian dollars. I'm not sure what that is in your currency. Probably less,
about
no
the
doubt.
same as Canadian, I think. Yeah.
Okay. And it helps support the club. You get discounted uh, tickets to our events when you're able to come over here and visit and attend.
Yeah.
We have other benefits as well. Obviously, the usual things like being able to vote on the committee meetings and AGMs and things like that as well. And there's a few other benefits for instrument insurance and flights and things like that too. But all the details are on the website.
Okay. Well, I'm going to check it out and I encourage everybody listening and watching to do the same. It's a really lovely organization and I really admire you for putting that together and keeping it going.
Yeah, thanks,
And what
Geoff.
time of year does the gathering in the Goldfields take place?
So that's usually around the second weekend in August. Usually, not that we think about it that much, but it's usually the similar weekend to the World Pipe Band Championships.
Well, Jeff, play us a couple more tunes. I know you're an avid composer of tunes yourself.
Hmm.
I'd love to hear some of your own creations. Yeah,
Great. So
give a whirl
I'll
there.
just finish off with there's two reels. Uh, One I composed about 4 or 5 years ago on a holiday to Tasmania, believe it or not. And yeah, just up the road in Launceston, there used to be a whiskey bar and bagpipe museum called the Grumpy Piper. So I've composed a tune for them called the Grumpy Piper. And the second tune I'll play was to celebrate my mum and dad's 50th wedding anniversary a couple of years ago. So it's Mr. and Mrs. DR and HM Jones's 50th wedding anniversary.
Oh, beautiful.
Bit of a mouthful, but so that of the style I've, I guess, tried to imitate a bit. Speaking of old timey, is my parents do square dancing, so I wanted to try and compose a tune that might be suitable for them to square dance to, thinking of that sort of kind of music from the States there. So while it's a Scottish style reel, I think hopefully I've got a bit of that influence in there too. So anyway, it'd be interesting to see what you think.
Beautiful. Oh, Jeff, great playing and beautiful tunes.
Yeah, thanks.
Now, have you published a few of those? I've got a Xerox collection of tunes I think that you put out 10 years ago, but I'm not sure if there are any of your tunes in there.
Well, they probably wouldn't be at this stage. But the collection's growing, and yeah, maybe down the track I'll publish a collection. Certainly on the cards. Yeah, but the tunes that you might have had would have been just some traditional ones that we'd play at our Celtic Piping Club sessions.
Yeah,
So
I
we've got
enjoy that
a
collection.
website.
It's a lovely assembly of tunes.
Yeah, so I've done a
Speaking
little
of
bit of.
which, do you have, if you wanted to suggest a few essential collections, that have influenced you and that you like to refer to. What are some of your faves?
Oh, I've got so many now. As well as liking everything bagpipe, I've been a bit obsessed with collecting bagpipe books too. So not just music books, but bagpipe history books. I've got well over 500 bagpipe books. So to select a few influences, again, yeah, lots of influences, but the good old Scots Guards collections, the Battlefield Band collections, of course. Got a few Barry Shears, of course, some of the
Yeah,
capturing styles. Yep. What else? Yeah, again, Dr. Angus MacDonald and his collection, couple of collections. Yeah, so just to name a few. Yeah, and yeah, Terry Tully, hence playing one of his tunes earlier. A lot of the arranging of the Irish tunes, which I do as well. A lot of arranging of some of the Scottish and Irish tunes, particularly the Irish ones, to fit on the nominal 9 note pipe scale. Yeah,
right. Folding them and cramming
yeah,
them into the 9 note
that's it.
range of
Yep,
the
I try
instrument.
and make them sound good.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, thanks so much, Geoff, for joining us. A real pleasure to see you and to hear you again. I'm going to miss seeing you later on in February, but
Yeah,
great
likewise,
to
likewise.
see that you're thriving as ever.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, we'll definitely miss Boxwood again this year, but look forward to when it's next able to start up again back across the water here in Queenscliff, huh?
Yeah, no, we're on for next February, so things should be sorted out by then.
Wonderful.
Great. Well, thanks again for joining us.
My pleasure. My pleasure.